Okay. Sorry about that. I ran out of minutes. So this is a pelvic fracture, and it's by Dr. Nabil Ibrahim. It's on YouTube, of course. Uploaded May 1st, 2020.
Pelvic fractures. There are two classifications for pelvic fracture. The first one by Young and Burgess. The second one by Dr. Tyler. And the whole idea of the classification is by looking at the first initial X-ray, and of course you correlate that with the clinical picture of the patient. You will be able to decide if it is a complicated injury or not complicated.
Complicated?
Is it going to be a lethal injury that requires a lot of blood and a lot of resuscitation, and the patient may die from that injury? Or is it a simple and not a complex injury where we can walk the patient? And also can decide how the patient could die. Can die from head injury, or you can die from pelvic bleed.
They said I was bleeding,
if the patient
right?
needs surgery, what kind of surgery, or we need no surgery.
There's no such thing as a good or bad memory. There is no such thing as a good or bad memory. There's just a trained memory and an
Okay.
Young Burgess classification. There are three types: lateral compression, anteroposterior compression, and vertical shear.
That's what they said I had, a vertical shear.
The Young and Burgess classification is based on the mechanism and the stability of the pelvis. It can tell you if the patient will need a lot of blood or not. The lateral compression, that will be an internal rotation force to the pelvis. So you start with the simple and it gets complicated. The simple will be an impacted ala, and maybe the pubic rami will have transverse or oblique fractures. The best example of lateral compression is the crescent fracture, and that is considered type 2. If the force does not involve the bone for the crescent fracture, it is going to involve the posterior tension band ligaments.
And this
The
is just
fracture
general
will be
information
unstable
about
to
fractures
internal
too, right?
rotation.
Right.
So you just need to focus on type 2 will be the crescent fracture. The one before type 1 will be a little dent in the ala. The one after that, type 3, will be a lot more than crescent fracture.
Okay. Why is it doing this? I know.
In type 3, you will have lateral compression.
I didn't do nothing.
fracture on
I
one
haven't
side,
touched nothing.
and
I know.
anteroposterior compression
Right.
on the other side. So one
Could
of
it be
the
a type
iliac
3 or
crest
worse?
will
I
be
know,
in
right.
internal rotation,
And
the
see,
other
that's
side
just
will
a
be
fracture.
in
The
external
sacrum is
rotation. It is
injured
a
too,
rollover
right?
injury, or it's called when swept.
But I'm having pain in the sacrum, and ankle, right? When I wake up, right?
2. If the patient die, they will die from head injury. Lateral compression type 3 probably will have a high incidence of bowel injury. Then you got the anteroposterior compression. There will be external force to one side of the pelvis or to both sides. Or you may have direct impact on the pelvis, or very aggressive, forcible abductions of the legs. The first thing you remember that the iliac bones or the pelvis will be externally rotated. The symphysis pubis could be open or could be fracture of the pubic rami vertical fractures. If you open the symphysis pubis, it will be less than 2.5 centimeter opening. Because type 1 is small, it's insignificant. You're not going
Right.
to do surgery.
This is
type
the
1
front too,
because
right? By
it
the
did
way,
not
by the way.
open a lot.
But
The
doesn't it
ligaments
look
are
like the
still
left
folded,
side
and
is
it
more
rotationally
damaged, even
and
in the
vertically
front, than
stable.
the back, right?
Type 2, the
Or
symphysis
differently
pubis will be
injured, right?
open, and the sacrospinous and sacrotuberous ligaments will be injured.
Right.
In type 2, the symphysis pubis will be open more than 2.5
And you can look
centimeters,
this up
and the
too, right?
anterior
You can
sacroiliac
subscribe
joint
to it, right?
ligaments
Whatever,
will be
whatever.
injured. So the pelvis becomes rotationally unstable, but vertically stable.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the pelvis in APC type 2?
So, again, I can go back to the smaller view. What do you see here, though? This is not correct, right? How is it, I know, right, that something is down here, right? This is pushed to the left, right? And kind of odd, right? This is the other side, right? This is over instead of straight down, right? It's pushed over like this, right? This is the bone, right? Going up, right? Whereas here it's more uniformal. And this happened in the 3-story fall. They say. Okay.
Vertically stable. It is vertically stable because the posterior sacroiliac ligaments are not injured. The only way that it will become vertically unstable is when there is a rupture of the posterior sacroiliac joint ligaments.
Now it's also
This
pushed
is
up, right,
important
on the
type
left
for
side,
open
right,
bone
over a
fractures, type
centimeter.
3. And if you rupture these posterior ligaments, the pelvis
They
becomes
said when I
unstable,
fell it was a
rotationally
centimeter, right?
and vertically.
The 0.5
In
millimeters.
fact, all the ligaments on the arm and the pelvis is totally unstable.
Not even a little bit.
The anteroposterior compression type 3 is associated with the highest blood transfusion requirements and shock. How about vertical shear? All ligaments are disrupted.
That looks
and
like it.
It is rotationally and vertically unstable.
Right.
In the vertical shear fracture, the patient will also lose a lot of blood.
Right.
Tile classification is based on the stability of the pelvis and not
Now that
the
sort of
mechanism.
looks like it, don't
So
it? Right. But what's the major difference, though? Right. This. Right. You don't see that. The damage to the sacrum, huh? The sacrum is what's the problem. And I'm just high school knowledge, right? And I took a pharmacy tech course, right? Right. That shows how to treat something, but not, and what drugs to give for it. But it does have to do with some anatomy, right? And of course, they send me manuals, right, to study from, right? And I got a 3.62 grade point average, right, as a final grade for the learning part of the academy's technical part of the learning. Now, then I was supposed to go on a, externship to learn how to do it, right? And things like that. Now, it still has to do with a vertical shear, right? But also, does it look like it properly healed anyway? No. Just a question. Right. If it is, no. So again,
Type A, type B, and type C. Type A is stable avulsions, such as anterior superior iliac spine that will involve the sartorius, and anterior inferior iliac spine that will involve the rectus femoris. The iliac wing fracture and transverse sacral fracture are also included in tile classification type A. An avulsion fracture of part of the sacrum can be a sign of instability. However, transverse fracture of the sacrum is a stable injury.
that probably means
Type
straight
B
across.
is rotationally
Mine's
unstable,
pushed over
but
to the right,
vertically
right?
stable. Type B can be an open book injury with external rotation, or it can be lateral compression injury with internal rotation. B2, lateral compression injury and internal rotation. That internal rotation can occur because of fracture of the anterior ring through the ipsilateral rami or through the contralateral rami, and that's called bucket handle injury. This injury can also be bilateral. Type C is rotationally and vertically unstable. So what will cause death of the patient? Shock at presentation and major blood transfusion within the first 24 hours. Patient is older than 60 years old, or if you have an open fracture of the pelvis, or the patient will have an increased ISS score. In general, if the leg is externally rotated clinically and the x-ray shows an open book, especially if it shows an open book type 3, the patient could die from bleeding.
Right?
This patient with the open book needs to have a pelvic binder to close the book and to decrease the bleeding. The binder will decrease the diameter of the
They only
pelvis,
put an
and
X
this will
fix on me,
minimize the
right?
bleeding.
A fixation device to hold me
You
together,
give blood
right?
and fresh frozen plasma
No blood.
and
No
platelets
blood.
in a ratio of 1 to 1 to 1.
They're clearly feeling squeezed by the rising costs.
And see, if you set me up, I know,
Senator Raphael Warnock
you
called
can
few
trick
the
me,
inflation
right?
squeeze, voting for
Right. I'm a man. And I don't claim to be Jesus, even if I saw the point
If
God
the
in him.
patient has type 1 or type 2 lateral compression and he's not doing so well, then check head injury. That pelvic fracture will not cause major bleeding. This patient will not need a binder. There's no open book to close with the binder. So you need to check the orientation of the rami. So if it is transverse or oblique, so it's an internal rotation, and it is a lateral compression. Check for head injury. If it is vertical, so it is external rotation. It is anteroposterior compression. Watch for bleeding. Lumbar transverse process fracture.
Remember the woman with the issue of blood.
There is vertical instability.
Jesus would have to heal all that, right?
Injury.
Or I would have died on the ER. In the ER.
Bone or from the
You
lumbar
understand, right?
venous plexus. Major arterial bleed can occur in about 10% of pelvic fractures. The most common bleed comes from the superior gluteal artery. It may come from the obturator, which is common in lateral compression, or from the internal pudendal artery, which is close.
Okay. So again, let's go back and look, right? Does it look like, from all this, that there was more damage, I know, right, than was reported to me, right? At all. little bit. So now I'm going to see if they have anything on the sacrum. Right. And what usually happens if you break the sacrum? Do you get paralyzed? Okay. I know. And I've been walking on it within 3 months. fully. Using the cane occasionally, sure. But I'm in a lot of pain. But still confess Jesus healed me. Do you think so? Okay. That one's real clearer. Damn. Than mine. Exactly. So it looks like that's the centered. Great. I know. This one here is from Amy Bryant. All right. Oh, no, it's still in here. All right. It was put up February 3rd, 2015. Made with Explain Everything. All right, let's do it now.
Today we are going to review our sacrum, coccyx, and SI joint projections. And what you will see on your screen in front of you are our AP axial projections. And if you look to the left-hand corner, you've got coccyx, AP axial coccyx. Our right-hand corner, I'm going to put an S. This is for our AP axial sacrum. And the projection at the lower portion of your screen is going to be the AP axial SI joints. The best way to study these AP axial projections is, just like we're doing here today, is putting them all out in front of you and really getting to understand and know the differences, because they all look somewhat similar.
Right.
So putting them together and
So,
comparing the differences allows you to...
Do you see any difference? All right. Whereas my sacrum joint, I know, to the right, theirs is uniformal, right? All straight, what? Down, right? Mine, and no doctor told me this, right? I'm looking at it on my own, by simple comparison, not diagnosing anything, but knows I've been hurting there since I fell, right? I woke up in pain, right? But should I have? Right. This one, right, is supposed to be here, right? This is missing all that. This is the vertical compound fracture of a, that's what they said I had at least. That I agree with, but, they didn't say it was pushed up here. Does that look over a centimeter to you? Like maybe 2 or 3? No. Almost an inch? Almost an inch. Right. But you don't understand why when I sit down on that, or I sit down on that, or I sit anywhere, I might be in a little pain. I don't either. What they mean is this from here on down, right? See, all the nerves travel out this way, I know. But this is over to the right, right? Does this control any of my functions below the waist? That's the question, right? But it's still damaged, right? And when I show you the side view again, I ain't showed you that yet, right? But this is just a straight on view, right? And already you see, right, the sacrum herself, right, if she controls any part of me below the waist, right, I'm damaged, right? And I don't mean minorly, right? I know. I mean majorly, just by simple comparison, right?
Work your way through the process of eliminating which projection it is or is not. To get started, we're going to look at the coccyx, and we'll go through some quick anatomy here. Here's the coccyx that is projected right in the center of this pelvic brim.
Center, right?
Look at the shape of this.
Mine's to the right.
It appears elongated because we are angling our tube.
How can I do that in a mere 3-story fall as well? I'm just asking questions. I'm not diagnosing what's wrong. I'm like a reporter who sees something odd, right? I don't understand it. No one wants to answer me or tell me what's wrong, right? But I know I'm in pain every day, right? But I'm managing it with some medications, right? And not moving around a lot. Right.
The brim is important to evaluate because this is going to be how we look at rotation. Is the coccyx equidistant from its borders to the lateral margins of the pelvic?
No.
Another way to look for rotation is look at this median sacral crest, which is this area right here in the middle. Is it lined up with the pubis symphysis? In this case, it is not. I'm going to erase that line real quick. And also, if you look at the coccyx, is it aligned with the pubis symphysis? And again, it is not. And we have more space on this side from here to here than we do on this side. So there is some slight rotation, but it is so slight, and we do get a clear view of the coccyx, not superimposed by the pubis symphysis. Excuse me.
Okay. So this one here, is the one we're doing now, right? This one here, right? And then there's one here, right? So let's do an enlargement of it, right? 2. See what we're really looking at here. Now, do you see major differences, though, between all 3 sacrums in mind, right? That's what I'm trying to determine, right? Am I being misled, right? And what happened in my injury as well? What can I do about it? Which, right? Let's tell you, right? And that's about it, right? As I can tell you about it, but other than that, right? That's what happened, right? Right? So we see all this, right? Again, right? On a much larger scale. And like I said, does that look like 2 centimeters or 3 maybe? Right? Compared to that one? They said less than a centimeter to 5 millimeters, right? When I first fell. Now, I ain't failed again, right? Either, right? So all this is pushed over snake light, right? To the right. Right. This is the right, this is the left, by the way. I can at least tell that much or two. This is missing bone, right? This is missing bone, right? And this one looks fine, right? Except it's not where it's supposed to be. At all. But I'm supposed to figure this out. No. That either, right?
So this
I'm the patient.
Error, the slight rotation. Now we talked about angulation briefly, that it was tail.
But wouldn't you think God healed you somehow? Right.
But how do we know?
Okay, supernaturally maybe? Yeah.
We should be able to see, excuse me, we're still talking about the coccyx. There it is. Let me get my little pen. We should still be able to see some open joint spaces within the coccyx structure. That indicates that we have the correct angulation for this projection.
Now, do you think I understand what it's like for a woman to be in travail?
Then we are looking at
As well? As well.
not enough angulation.
So again, you see
going
there,
back to anatomy, we have
points on both sides are even, right?
here and here.
Mine, one is pushed up almost 2 to 3 centimeters. They said 1 to a half millimeter, and right
here,
5 millimeters, right? No.
And below them, underneath here, are the
Just comparing.
Pubis symphysis, and between the two, this of course is sacrum. Where these X's are up top, you are looking at the wings or the body of the sacrum. You see
also they got bone. You don't have, I don't have.
To the left and,
and this happened in 24-foot fall.
With an eye.
It was just 3 stories with an 8-foot tall story. To 10 feet, depending on the height of each floor. In the Navy barracks I fell from.
Of your screen.
All right.
Quickly go over some anatomy. What must be included on an AP axial sacrum would be L5, which you will find here. Right underneath L5 would be the L5S1 intervertebral joint space. You've got the base of your sacrum. These little projections protruding upward are your superior articular processes of the sacrum. Make sure that you're specific when identifying those, because there are superior articular processes on all of the vertebrae, cervical, thoracic, and lumbar. Coming down from there, you've got your SI joints again. Here and here. Right down the middle is the median sacral crest. Right here where these X's are, these are the bodies. The body of the sacrum, the ala of the sacrum, whichever you prefer. You have iliac crest up to the side, the ilium out here. This is the pelvic brim. Okay, but let's take a look at the sacral foramina. You have got these small circles up at the top. These look more round and are more P-shaped. Here's another one here, and another one here. Then you also have these more elongated circles that are more almond shaped. That's a good way to be able to tell the difference between which sacral foramina you're looking at. The P-shaped ones, P, are the posterior, so P for posterior and are P-shaped. These more elongated ones are the anterior sacral foramina, A for almond, A for anterior. So that's just a quick, clever way to know the difference between the anterior and posterior sacral foramina. You have 4 posterior.
Now, I have amnesia, like I told you, but if I'm hit with a weapon, like say a nightstick or a billy club or something of that nature, would you think that would do more of the injury, which, like I said, is friendly fire from someone in the Navy who attacked me the night of the fall? Whether I remember all the details of the fall or not, right? By the way. Does it look like more I was hit with a weapon, right? Again, right? Or that I simply fell 3 stories? Exactly. A weapon.
So it foreshortens that.
Were they trying to be nice to me or kill me? As well. That's a tip to murder, right?
To become more flattened out so that we can see all of the sacral foramina in their entirety. This pelvic brim is important because it also gives
much like Paul was attacked in the Bible.
Sides from the
he was stoned a few times too, right?
Of the pelvic brim.
And survived.
Now the coccyx you will probably not be able to see because it will be superimposed or should be superimposed by the pubis symphysis. Of course, you have your pubis bones here. We're not seeing those clearly in here, but we see them over here on the coccyx. Another thing that we are not seeing on here that helps with rotation, if we were to see the entire pelvic brim and pubis symphysis, we should see these little densities protruding upward from the pubis bones. And these are our ischial spines.
And see, I can prove I can move just by this, right? With my foot up, right?
These ischial spines are also a good way.
This has to do with both the paralytic man who was lowered through the roof and the guy by the pool who couldn't get in fast enough, right? Because he probably was paralyzed like I should be from the waist down. But glory to God and Jesus who healed such injuries by faith, not by sight.
And are they free of superimposition from the pubis symphysis? In this case, they are, but we've clipped some important anatomy, so we would need to redo this.
But all anatomy is supposed to be for a human being the same too, right? We're not cut from the same mold, or we are.
This, at the bottom of your screen, this projection here, is your AP axial SI joints. Now, you will see that, again, we have angled our tube, so we are going to have some foreshortening. We do have foreshortening of these iliac crests, as well as this pelvic brim. Here, and notice the different shape yet again on this AP axial from this pelvic brim.
Plus, if I'm attacked with the weapon, right, and it does all this damage, I'm going to be with a mental illness attached to it, more confused, right? Easy to trick into doing something wrong, maybe. Not intentionally doing something wrong, ever, because I know better. I tell them I don't want to be with an underage girl, but yet they insist one of the nail technicians was 15. Right? How would I know that when she's supposed to be 16 and certified in Georgia to even do the job? Right?
Processes of L5. You have spinous processes. L4, and L5. We have the L5S1 intervertebral disc space, pedicles of L5, and vertebral body. Now, if you come down here, you follow the base of the sacrum, and up here are our superior articular processes of the sacrum. In this sacrum, they are not as prominent as the other one. You follow that down, and now you're looking at your SI joints, which is the main area of interest. This portion of the sacrum, again, is the sacral wings, or ala, or body. Iliac crests.
So again, is this even?
Here,
and mine's pushed up
sacrum comes
way
down
up here,
median
right?
Sacral crest.
Just by memory.
Sacral
Right.
foramina. Pubis symphysis.
Okay, I think you get the point, right? Right. With just that, right? That means I was lied to. I was, no one would listen to me as to why I was in pain, right? And no one wanted to really help me, not a lawyer. I know. Right. And like I said, this one's here, right? Does that look like 1 centimeter or more? More. They only told me 1 centimeter to 5 millimeters, right? Was how much it was pushed up. Okay. Right. Not even close, right? And see, this is the bone tip way up here, right? This is here, right? Just draw a damn line. That's right. 3 centimeters, almost over an inch. Okay, you don't tell your patient this if he's walking on it, though. By faith, not by sight. So does this look normal? It's missing something here, right? Here, right? Supposed to be bone there, right? See. This side is fine. This is missing bone, right? Right here, I think too, right? So don't tell me, right? Okay, what would it matter? I'm walking on it anyway. Don't believe me when I need help cleaning up the house, and I tell you that. Hey, I need help cleaning up the house, please. I hurt. I don't know why. I guess you're saying I should be paralyzed and grateful? But at the same time, did you do it or Jesus? See. Then it's kind of the blame game there, right? And like I said as well, what can I do about it either, right? If I can't work, does this not explain why? Yes. But do I have to be 100% schizophrenic or this? Either one should work, right? Right. With the VA. But still. Right. So I think I made my point there, right? Exactly. As to the problem, right? Right. Okay, let's see if people have fractures and stuff like that. Right. Mm-hmm. You notice it's rare. see. That the sacrum. See, the tailbone ain't what we're talking about. No. We're talking about the sacrum being pushed up so high. Right. Right. It's broken where it's pushed up, right? And me still walking on it. It ain't that I don't understand why the doctors are confused with no faith in Jesus anyway. I know. Right. And see, even if there are fractures, right? See, another thing, right? They're not where the whole sacrum is pushed over, are they? Let me show you what I mean, right? This might be more pointed, right? So you understand, right? I don't even understand what's wrong. I admit that too. I know you don't. Okay, this is Dr. Nabil Ibrahim again. All right. And there's one more by him as well. Okay, come on. Mm-hmm. So it looks like, though, the whole...
Sacral fractures. Anatomy. The femur, the ilium, the hip joint, and the sacrum. Fractures of the pelvis include...
Can I cry as a woman in travail?
which vary in severity from mild to severe. Types of fracture of the sacrum modified from Dennis classification.
Maybe a little girl, too,
Zone
huh?
1, injury lateral to the sacral foramina. Zone 2, injury involving the sacral foramina. The spinal canal is not involved. Zone 3, injury extending into the spinal canal.
Mm-hmm.
Zone 1, sacral alar fracture. The fracture involved the sacral ala. Neurological deficit is less than 5%. It involved the L5 nerve root, which runs on top of the sacral ala. The patient may get a foot drop. Zone 2, foraminal zone. Neurological deficit in about 30%. It involved S1 and S2 nerve roots. Most difficult zone to fix is associated with some loss of fixation. Zone 3, fracture involving the central sacral canal. Neurological deficit in about 60 to 100%. Usually it is
60 to 100%. Right. Now it looks like with mine.
Zone 3 can be longitudinal or transverse.
So,
longitudinal fracture.
Right. Let's look again, right? So, this is the center column right now. Right here. So, this is so pushed over, right? Right. It's no longer in the center, right? So, to do that means the bone not only broke, but healed, right? Damn. Right. Because I don't know what else to do but laugh sometimes. Because, yeah, and this is just general information about it too, right? Exactly.
It is a midline fracture involving the sacral canal. The CT scan axial cuts will clearly show the injury. The canal is compromised and usually it requires reduction and surgical decompression. Transverse fracture. It is a U-shaped fracture. The weakest zone is located between S2 and S3.
Damn.
The axial load will cause a transverse sacral fracture at its weakest part.
Damn.
It can lead to canal compromise, and it is better detected on a lateral view of the sacrum.
Mm-hmm. And that's
The
pretty
CT
compared to
axial
mine.
cuts
That
will
was pretty.
show double foramen.
That's pretty compared to his.
You'll find double shadow on an AP view. The proximal
I'm
part
missing damn
of the
bone.
sacrum
Do you
is
think I was
connected to
hit
the
with a
spine.
weapon or
The
filthy
distal part
soils?
is connected to the pelvis through a very narrow strip of sacrum, ala, and SI
Like Paul.
joint.
Paul.
And these are the three
Paul's the one to
types
say the
of
male and
sacral
female are one in
fracture.
Christ Jesus,
Type
which you're
1,
denying today.
type
Anyway,
2,
not me,
type
not
3,
you.
the longitudinal and the transverse.
So mine is kind of a little bit of all the above, all the above.
This video is for educational purposes only. Please consult your doctor before you make any
Okay.
decision about your medical care.
Right, right. And I'm trying to consult doctors, but they're actually booking for cuckoos. Or not again.
They're clearly feeling squeezed by the rising costs.
Senator Raphael Warnock helped fuel the inflation squeeze.
So again, my bill.
For trillions in reckless spending. Now he supports a liberal.
I don't even think. I know. Even the car wreck could do all this damage, you know. No. But I do think a human being with like a nightstick or a billy club or maybe even a bat might
Sacral
could. Right?
fractures. Sometimes it is hard to see sacral fractures on X-ray.
We don't have that problem. No.
The sacrum is connected to the pelvis through the sacroiliac joints. Here, this is an example of fracture ala of the sacrum, and
these
another
are normal
one, foramen
fractures.
of
Does
the
mine
sacrum.
look normal?
Probably will be missed
Even
on
with a
X-rays.
3-story fall? No.
The
Though,
sacrum
again, right,
fractures can
some
have
of it
nerve root injury. The
is
neurological
and some of
deficit
it
will decide
ain't,
the
right.
outcome of the patient. The neurological deficit may be a nerve root injury or involvement of the
Right. So you see, where does it look damaged, right? This is all over there, right? This is pushed up, right? That's a fracture right in there, right? Because you can't be higher than the other side, right? Unless it's broken and pushed up, right? And healed that way too. No. Right, it has to heal. It has to heal. The nerves come from where though? Here, don't they? Right. So if it's pushed up way up here on this side's way down here, and you can't see a marked difference, right? That's just, again, with my fingers, right? Does it look like that's a complex fracture of the sacrum? Yes. Exactly. They just said I had a complex vertical shear of the pelvis. They're not wrong. But they also didn't tell me about the sacrum. Well, I did that in the car wreck. No. No. They would have netted it at the car wreck. When I woke up after the car wreck, though, I was in no pain. I was ready to go. Same night. Oh. Not to mention those injuries, right? So, right. What do you think's going on? I don't know, but there's something going on. All right. So this is the sacrum, the actual. All right. Way it looks, right. I don't know. From the side. And I ain't done nothing to injure myself further, right? Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Still here to here. Mm-hmm. Do you have to fracture this for this to be up even a millimeter? Yeah. Yeah. Right. All that. I'm just comparing. All right. Right. So you don't understand why I would have problems walking on this, maybe? Right. It would be in a lot of pain if Jesus is trying to heal me of it too, right? Right. Obviously so, right? Right. You can still tell it's pushed over, right? That would cause nerve damage, right? No. This is supposed to be under and in the middle, right? Not to the slanted even, right? Right. That's a wider view of the whatever's going on with these bones, right? It looks like it was twisted though, right? Right. Twist the bones somehow. All right. How can you even explain this to me, huh? I get it, right? But no. Right. That still looks like yin and yang, dude, right? I don't know. But is it a murder attempt, right? By fellow shipmates, maybe, right? Who took something, right? I didn't have a choice in, right? And tried to make me as if I did something wrong, right? But even if I did, why would Jesus heal me, right? Unless more people would be at fault. See, it's not just me who can be with a 4-year-old. Anyone can, right? But the 4-year-old